Okay, today Hawley, this tiny little village, had a fair. Once a year they have a fair, and it just so happened that I happened to come on one of the days that there was a fair. So they have like a parade that goes through the town, and then it ends up in this sort of small park. But there's quite a lot of stalls, and I've managed to buy myself an actual decent necklace. I'm not too sure if it's glass, but it feels like glass, so it might be glass. But yes, not quite as pretty as the butterfly, but it's actually supposed to be a healing. I heard that this is supposed to be a healing necklace, but anyway, I actually had a health check that was being given free when they were doing my blood pressure. I realised it was actually a stall that was promoting Jesus and Jesus returning, but they gave me kind of a bag of freebies, and inside it there's great controversy book. I don't like reading, so I don't read. But I noticed that there's kind of a little cute health book, and I was kind of interested. I like health and trying to stay healthy, or the idea of trying to stay healthy. And then I kind of noticed how they've kind of merged health treatments with God and the Bible, and I was just kind of curious to know how you could possibly merge health treatments with healthy living told by God and the Bible and stuff. So, yes, I kind of more went through it. The first page was just a bit about continue to cause significant problems worldwide, and HIV and AIDS claimed the lives of an estimated 1.7 million. I don't know. The first bit seems to be very more about health and stuff, and then I was kind of curious, like, how are they going to merge God in with this sort of healthy living style book? And yeah, within the first page, it's like social support. Do you have friends, care, and young people, or the friends you care about, young people you mentor, individuals needing whom in need, whom you help, social support, connection to God, blah blah blah. So it's very basic, and then it kind of says, keep reading, God has a plan for you that is far better than you can ever imagine. So I don't know, but just books that say things like this: God has a plan for you that is better than you can ever imagine. How do you know that's the truth? I mean, I'm God, and I have a plan for myself. I wanted a nice big house, a nice happy life. I wanted fame. I wanted to be a singer. I had a big plan for myself, and I haven't managed to achieve it. And therefore, I think anyone that is happy to say things like God has a plan for you, you don't know God has a plan for you. You can give people hope, but by saying things like God has a plan for you that is better than you can ever imagine, well, are you going to say that to the poor kids in Africa that are dying? Are you going to say that to the people that are about to be murdered by Islamic groups and stuff? I mean, just to say that God has a plan for you and it's far better than you can ever imagine. This is just you lying to people because you don't know who's reading this book. This is like a psychic that's just saying, oh, you were born in April, therefore it means this and this. Or if you're born in April, you mean, even though there's loads of people that are born in April, and it doesn't mean they're all going to experience the same sort of thing. So I think I would never encourage my people to lie like this to people by saying things like God has a plan for you. God does not have a plan for you. You have been given life as a sort of test to challenge you, to see which direction you go, to see how you experience things and how you cope with things and how you cope with challenges and your choice on how to deal with it. And if you do have a lot of money, what do you do with your money? You know, if you see life as a test, God does not have a plan for you. You have to make your own plan. You have to make your own decisions. You know, my teaching is completely reversed, an inverted version of God has a plan for you. No, your life is your choice, your path, your plan, and God will just test you. Or technically, it's the Matrix that will do it, because there's a lot of people. God does not personally go around every single one of the 8 billion people on Earth and assess individually all of them. No, you have your own plan, and some people will achieve a lot, and that's when you start getting noticed by God. If you achieve lots, God will notice you. But yeah, it's silly how you've got a health thing which is supposed to be a book of facts, and then you mix it with things like God has a plan for you and it's better than you could ever imagine, because that is not a fact. That is a delusion. Are you happy? Do you wake up with purpose, walk with a pep in your step and smile and have a smile on your face, or has life become too much and I don't know, it's just very discovered. As we explore scientific facts and discover life-changing principles of the Bible that we can universally apply, you will see that the probability of happiness is real. Probability of happiness is real, but life-changing Bible principles, I mean, what are the principles in the Bible? That it's fine to have slaves, that it's that you just need to rely on a God that you know nothing about, and trust in God, and just believe that God has a plan for you that's better than you could ever imagine, even if you're days away from being evicted from your house. Don't worry, God has a plan for you. Yeah, you're going to be homeless and spend the next 15 years lying on the street and thinking back at all the preachers that told you shit about how amazing your life is going to be, and it's turned out to be crap. You know, some people will have a good life, but some people have a bad life, and therefore to say things like this is it's so narrow-minded, and I wouldn't encourage people to do this. But anyway, we can almost guarantee that disappointment, heartache, and trials will affect our lives at time, because we dwell in a sinful world. That is true, but I think you need to explain what sinful means. Sinful means a world full of people who have rejected God. People who call God Jesus are people who have rejected God and do not know who God is, because God is not Jesus. Jesus is just a temporary Christ, and you are living in a sinful world because you are lying to people about God, who God is, what God can do, and you're giving people false hope. And this is part of the sinful world that you are living in, people who write books like this. And then I kind of I was going to highlight everything I didn't agree with in red and everything that I did agree with in yellow. As you can see, I think there's only about 2 things in there that I agree with. Everything else I don't agree with. But God is bigger than our trials. I'm 5'3", and even if I was bigger than your trials, I can't help you with your trials. Sorry, that's not my job. My job as a Christ is just to tell you that this is a load of shit. And so what if my higher self is bigger than your trials? That doesn't mean my higher self is going to help you with your trials, because that's part of the test. You know, you have all these trials, and God works out which one is best to become a God and which ones aren't. And yeah, I think that's all God is actually interested in, trying to find the best, the smartest, the strongest, the bravest. It's nature's way of testing people, and then God kind of just does the sort of overall view on who she thinks has a better chance of becoming a God in their own planet, and that's the actual truth. God is greater than our difficulties and larger than our challenges. Is that true or not? I don't know, because God's just the sort of overseer. She just kind of oversees lots of you and is not interested in your daily life and your daily struggles, and so I just think you're seeing it in a wrong perspective. We may be weak, but He is strong. So what? So what if my higher self is stronger than you? My higher self is stronger than you. It's me, and I've gone through way more challenges than most people on earth, but that doesn't help you in any way. In fact, if anything, that actually hinders you, because I'm now incredibly pissed off and are less inclined to help you. What the challenges that I've gone through have made me strong, and I have to see it like that, and I have to see the sort of positive side of being strong, and I have to make you go through all lots of challenges and struggles, because it's going to make you strong too, and make you stronger and more prepared for even harder challenges, unfortunately. God is our assurance when we face uncertainty. No, God is not your assurance if you face uncertainty, because if you are uncertain that Jesus is God, well, you are right to believe that, and God can't assure you anything. I'm God, and I don't even know everything, so I can't, if you told me what happens if you mix 2 chemicals together, I can't reassure you that your answer is correct, because I generally don't know myself, so I'm not your assurance or certainty. I don't know the future as a human. I don't know the future as a God. I do, but I as a God, people clearly are not connecting to me, cannot talk to me, cannot ask questions to my higher self. I can barely hear my higher self a lot of times. She gives me little bits and pieces, but that's about it. And So God is not your assurance. To think that God is your assurance is basically just saying, don't worry, the imaginary voice in your head that you think is God, that is your assurance. No, that is false. That is lies. Should guilt threaten to overwhelm us, he can provide peace. No, he can't. Sorry, there's war all over the world, and this he figure that you're worshipping cannot. He is our wisdom when we find ourselves complex. No, he's not. How can you find wisdom through some sort of imaginary figure that's not real? He's AJ Miller. He doesn't have wisdom. To think that this information is helping people. He is our wisdom when we find ourselves complexed. What wisdom? Wisdom is actually when someone else who's not a voice in your head is actually telling you something. And okay, maybe there is a voice in your head that you can hear. But if you think that that voice is telling you that it's Jesus, then I don't think you can hear the voice correctly, because it's not Jesus. It's Christ, but it's not Jesus. When we are imprisoned in chains of seemingly unbreakable habits, he stands ready to offer supernatural power to free us. Sorry, but if you have an alcohol addiction, he is not going to free you. You have to free yourself. If you think that someone else has stopped you from being an alcoholic, it's just yourself. It's yourself, it's your friends, it's your people around you, it's your family. It's not some imaginary figure in your head. I don't... How can you mix, like, health and facts with just nonsense and lies and false hope? When we are lonely, he is forever near. Sorry, this is not the truth. Whenever we face paralyzing anxiety and overwhelming fear, God's words still speak to our hearts. I think I can speak to people's hearts, but only if you actually hear me talk, Anna talk. But then it kind of refers to a thing in the Bible, Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That speaks to your heart. Why? Because you seek death. Come to me, you who labor, in heavy laden. I don't even know what laden means. And I will give you rest. This is talking about death. Sorry, Jesus is dead. He's living in some sort of imaginary figureland place, whatever. If you want to go to him, you're not going to be alive any longer. So this, if this speaks to your heart, then I think that you are only seeking death. You want rest in some imaginary land where Jesus is. You know, this is, if that speaks to your heart, it's because you want death. Should the burdens of life appear insurmountable, he urges us to cast all our care upon him, for he cares for us. He cares about you. He cares about you. He's AJ Miller, he doesn't give a shit about you, but let's just pretend that he's not that person and pretend that he's some it's just false hope. This is false hope. Isn't it better to know that God is actually a real person, that God is not you? God is not the voice that you hear in your head and just make shit up, but God is an actual real person, and this person has actually told you that they like you. I mean, that's so much better. Now that is real hope. That is real care. Not just, oh yeah, he loves me, I know he loves me. It's just complete nonsense. And then there's a bit in God. Oh, fear not. Wait, have I missed some more? When the future seems uncertain, he reminds us. And then it gives another Bible verse, Isaiah 41:10. I'm pretty sure Isaiah was written way before Jesus came, but anyway, fear not, I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. This is meaningless. This is absolutely meaningless, because this was Isaiah. I'm pretty sure Isaiah is in the Old Testament, not the New Testament, and Jesus has just basically came and pretended to be this character, but this is not the truth. This is not going to comfort anyone because you have no clue if this person is real. You're just putting hope, blind hope, into something that's not real. And it's not. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. If someone gave me their right hand and it's just like, this is righteous, well, I don't give a shit if this is righteous. I want a better life. I don't give a shit whether your hand is righteous or unrighteous. Unless you're actually going to give me money, unless you're actually going to give me a better life, unless you're actually going to give me things I want, your hand being righteous or unrighteous and you giving me your hand to shake or something, how is this going to make my life better? I don't know what people are, but I think you must be mad if you're listening to this thinking, yes, this is good health advice for me. I'm going to be very healthy by believing in this delusion in my head. It's just, in God we will find rest and hope for the future. I've taken out the word rest. I think in me you can find hope for the future. Why? Because I'm not a fake character. I'm a real person. I am really God, and I really exist, and I really live outside time, and I really have my own opinions, and I really have a view on what I would like to create the world and make the world in the future, how I'd want the future to be. I have a view on what I would like, and what I would like is for people to not just be living in these delusions of this fictional character that they know nothing about. They get so much satisfaction and hope from this fictional character, even though there's no real proof that this fictional character is real. I mean, how is that real hope? How is putting all your hope in something that might not be real, but just believing that it is real? How is that actually giving you hope? It's giving you false hope. It's for me, it's not believable. It's not realistic, and it's not going to help you. You know. The only way that God can help you is if you know that God is actually real, and you can't just say, oh, I think God says this and I think God says this, and because I'm saying this therefore makes it truth. Because if you start doing that, everyone else could just be doing that, and that's what they are doing. And if you're not bright, you won't see it that way. You'll just say, oh, they've said it, so there's got to be truth to it. They wouldn't say it if it was a lie, even though they would happily say things that are a lie. The Lord has a plan for your life. No, I do not. Sorry, I do not. That's far more amazing. No, I do not. It's not. I do not have a plan that's far more amazing than the shit that you're going through. Sorry. I want a better world, but you have to first be smart enough to realize that this is not the truth. As his personal concern, he wants you to live life in all its fullness. Yes, I do, but you can't do that if you're just chasing death and wanting to come to Jesus in your imaginary land and get rest. How can you live your life to your fullness if you're constantly questioning over whether or not your delusion is real or not? He longs that you experience joy beyond measure. How do you even know that? I mean, if you're not experiencing joy, how do you know that God wants you to be joyful? You don't know this. You're just hearing what other people are saying, and it's going to start driving you mad if your life is depressing, because you're going to be thinking, well, they told me that God wants this for me and God wants this for me, and yet how come this has happened to me? Something different has happened to my life. You're going to start hating God for not giving you all the things that these people have promised you, when really you're the one that's being foolish enough to believe the lies that people tell you. He longs that you experience. No, in fact, Jesus said, I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. Jesus being alive 2,000 years ago made no difference to anything. That is the truth. If you do not want to accept that as the truth, then you cannot accept the truth, and you need to realize that you are not accepting the truth, because Jesus made no difference to anyone's. He changed hope. He created hope, but he did not personally affect people. It only the belief on what he was, or the belief that someone that's powerful loves you, that has changed things. The belief on this has changed, but he as a person, A.J. Miller, did nothing. And that you may have it more abundantly. Jesus created wars. There was less abundance because of it. It was John 10:10. Heaven's plan for you is a life of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wholeness. Well, if your spirit doesn't realize that Christ is a woman, then you cannot have spiritual wholeness because you're not having truth. Each chapter in this book is an adventure into really living. No, it's not. This is into having delusions, and I don't know. A loving God made us with the power of choice. That's another thing that it says right at the bottom. No, I do not agree with that. I believe that this was done by force. I don't believe that I was here by choice. I mean, maybe I was here by choice, but I regret it. I seriously regret it. And I think no matter how much you try and tell yourself, God thinks this. This is the truth. God is here by choice. You know, however much you tell it, just because you say it, that doesn't mean that it's true. Just because you write it down in a book, that does not mean it's true. You do not know me. You do not know the truth. And honestly, I don't know if I was here by choice or by force. I don't feel like I'm here by choice because I want to die. So I think that's a sign that I'm not here by choice. I'm here because you haven't legalized assisted suicide. Our will, the governing power deep within the nature, enables us to choose the way we think. The physical habits we develop and spiritual decisions we make are more powerful. This is all true. This is all true. I'm not going to go on too much, but there's just so much. The experience of spirituality born of a relationship with loving God. How can you love God if you don't know God? Can make a huge difference in your life. You have to actually know God. God has to actually be a real person, and real people are not people you can talk for. If someone is talking for God and yet has never met God and is just imagining something in their head, then all you're ever going to be fed is lies and delusions. And you know, I really wish that people would stop just fictionalizing a God and then thinking that they can talk for God and say statements about God that they don't know. This is not healthy living. This is delusional living. This is how to live without proof or evidence of anything. While we are infinite, God and His grace is infinite. God in His grace is actually just God and me, Anna, and I'm not infinite. I'm only going to be alive for a couple of years, and then I'm going to die, and I'm going to become something different in my future. Grace is the wholeness, power of omnipotent, and to grant the impotent, grant the impotent the ability to whole. Sorry, I can't read properly. To be whole. Impotent the ability to be whole. That is what grace is. Grace is the power of omnipresent to grant the ability. No, grace is me. You don't know me. I can't even read this. He rains grace down upon us from heaven. No, I'm Anna. Grace means Anna. You do not know. This book is full of shit. It's supposed to be a health book, and yet it's just teaching people shit.